Welcome to Tomorrow Unveiled. We take stacks of information, cut through the noise, and pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight for you. Today, we're diving into something that isn't just theory anymore. It's really reshaping our world in real time. We're talking about how technology, especially artificial intelligence, is fundamentally transforming society. Our dedicated research team pulled together some truly fascinating sources, and, well, our mission today is to unpack the core insights, the things everyone seems to agree on. We want to help you understand what it really means to be future-proofed in this, let's face it, rapidly changing landscape. We're going to explore the big shifts happening in jobs, in schools, even in economic thinking, and the policy responses popping up globally. It's about what's next, and crucially, what it means for you. So future-proofed is the goal. We probably need to start where the ground's shaking fastest, our jobs. The workforce is, well, it's seeing this really interesting split right now, a duality, you could say. On one side, there's definite significant job displacement tied directly to AI. Our research showed something quite stark.
Over 10,000 job cuts just in the U.S., just in the first 7 months of 2025, were specifically blamed on AI adoption. Think about that. 10,000 roles directly hit by this tech. And that's set into a huge number globally, 806,000 private sector layoffs worldwide by 2025. It's not just, factory floors either. This is hitting entry-level, white-collar roles really hard. We saw a 15% drop in job listings for those kinds of positions, the ones recent grads usually go for. It's a powerful sign things are changing.
Yeah, it is. But what's really fascinating here, and maybe gets less airtime, is that it's not just about displacement. It's also a story of pretty profound transformation and, maybe surprisingly, creation. So while, yes, some roles shrink or disappear, the research also clearly projects AI creating something like 170 million new jobs globally by 2030. That's huge. It points more towards augmentation over replacement. Meaning AI isn't just taking over jobs, it's enhancing what we humans can do, opening up whole new work categories. So what this really means for you, listening right now, is this critical, almost urgent shift towards, let's call it AI fluency. Being computer literate isn't quite enough anymore. Now, success really hinges on how well you can collaborate with AI. And this shift puts a much higher value on those uniquely human skills things AI struggles with, like creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, complex problem solving. Those are becoming indispensable.
That rapid change is definitely causing some interesting behaviors in the workplace, too. Our research pointed to this phenomenon called shadow AI. Get this, 39% of young employees admit they're using AI tools to automate tasks, but without telling their managers, kind of under the radar. And it seems driven by real anxiety. Nearly half, 47% of young workers worry AI will replace their jobs. So what do you think this shadow AI tells us? Is it mostly a risk or maybe a sign of, grassroots innovation companies should actually pay attention to?
That's a great question. It's a real tension, isn't it? On one hand, yeah, shadow AI shows a gap in formal training, maybe in communication. Employees feel the pressure, see the tools, and they're taking initiative, maybe because they don't see clear guidance coming down, so it could signal a disconnect between leadership's plan and the day-to-day reality. But on the other hand, it also shows this proactive, almost entrepreneurial spirit. These folks are self-teaching, they're experimenting, finding efficiencies. For leaders who are paying attention, it's a chance to see where the workforce is already moving and maybe formalize that experimentation, turn potential risks like data security worries or inconsistent results into structured innovation. It just really underlines how urgent it is to have clear AI policies, good training, and an open conversation instead of just, banning things reactively.
Right. The workforce changes are huge, and like you said, there's this urgency to adapt. But how are we actually preparing people for this new reality on a bigger scale? It seems to be pushing education systems everywhere into this massive overhaul, reacting directly to these job shifts. We're seeing huge state-sponsored efforts to get AI into learning like never before. For example, our research team found Google's committed $1 billion to AI education. $1 billion. And right here in California, there's this landmark deal just announced with tech giants Google, Microsoft, Adobe, IBM. The goal, free AI training for over 2.6 million students. It feels like a global race. You look at places like Estonia, they're already integrating AI education nationwide right into the main curriculum. Everyone's trying to future-proof the next generation.
Absolutely. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, the teaching approach, the pedagogy, it's really twofold. First, it's about teaching with AI, using it as a tool, for personalized learning, adapting stuff to each student's pace, maybe automating some admin tasks for teachers so they can focus more on teaching. Second, and maybe even more fundamental, is teaching about AI. So fostering critical thinking skills. How do you evaluate what an AI gives you? Because it's not always right. It can have biases. And understanding the ethical side, what should AI do? Big questions, but this brings up a tough one. academic integrity. How do you maintain that? Our research found a lot of these AI detection tools, well, they can be unreliable. Sometimes they flag original student work as AI generated. That creates this really tricky integrity paradox for educators. Plus, there's the concern about corporate influence in these big partnerships. Some experts called them maybe the largest user acquisition campaign in history. Are we tying public education too closely to specific company platforms? Are we empowering students or just guiding them into certain tech ecosystems?
That's a really important point, balancing innovation and independence. But there is a really positive shift happening too, which is encouraging. Instead of just banning AI in schools, which, let's be honest, feels like trying to hold back the tide, educators are stepping up. They're redesigning learning to focus on those higher-level human thinking skills you talked about.
Yeah.
And it seems to be working. A recent U.S. survey found almost 60% of K-12 teachers used AI this past school year, and the impact was real. They said it saved them about 6 hours a week on lesson planning, materials, grading. 6 hours. That's huge. It lets them focus more on the students, on actual teaching. The challenge now, obviously, is scaling that up, getting massive teacher development rolled out everywhere. How do we make sure every teacher gets the support and training they need for this?
It's a huge task, no doubt, but absolutely vital. Our future workforce or society really depends on getting it right.
Okay, we've hit jobs and education. But what's the ripple effect on the economy itself? The way we create and share value? We're seeing a truly fundamental shift. For the first time in modern history, AI capital expenditure companies investing in AI tech basically started driving U.S. economic growth more than consumer spending. Corporate AI investment hit a massive $252.3 billion in 2024 alone. The key insight here isn't just growth, it's a foundational change. It's pushing us toward these fascinating ideas like abundance economics or post-scarcity. Can you break down what that actually means for us? Sounds a bit sci-fi.
It does sound a bit utopian, yeah, but it's rooted in real tech trends. So abundance economics is this idea that AI-driven automation could make producing goods and services so incredibly efficient that the extra cost to make one more, what economists call the marginal cost, gets close to zero. Think about software. Once it's built, making another copy costs almost nothing, right? Or picture a highly automated factory. Once it's running with AI, making the next item is super cheap. This massive drop in production cost could potentially lead to a world where basic needs, maybe even many luxuries, become incredibly cheap and widely available. It would completely shift how we think about value and scarcity.
Wow, that's a mind-bending idea. But if AI can create all this potential wealth and efficiency, it immediately brings up the big question, how do we share it? How do we distribute this potential abundance? And new economic models are moving from just theory into real-world tests. Our research highlighted the growing talks around universal basic income, UBI. It's not just academic anymore. There are active trials happening. Like in England, they're piloting giving 30 people £1,600 a month, no strings attached. We also saw really interesting results from a 6-country trial of a 4-day work week. Employees reported less burnout, better health, while keeping productivity steady or even improving it. That really suggests a future where time abundance, just having more free time, could seriously improve quality of life.
And while these huge economic shifts are happening, policymakers are trying hard to keep up. Our research actually showed a surprising amount of agreement, bipartisan consensus in the U.S. on regulating AI in government. They're focusing on transparency, making sure humans are still in the loop, and regulating those high-impact systems AI that affects basic rights, like in hiring or loans. Globally, the EU's Big AI Act is already starting to be enforced. It sets a global benchmark. We're talking big fines, up to 35 million for breaking the rules. And it demands transparency about how AI affects people, like in workplace monitoring or hiring decisions. People need to know when AI is making choices about their lives.
That transparency feels crucial for accountability. But the ethical knots AI ties us in are really deep, aren't they? Our research flags some major concerns. There's the worry about massive wealth ending up concentrated with just a few tech giants who own the most powerful AI. There's the growing risk of just pervasive surveillance. You see examples like hospitals recording surgeries for AI analysis, or schools potentially using AI to track students during exams. Big privacy questions there. And of course, algorithmic bias, especially in really critical areas like hiring. If AI systems aren't designed carefully, they can just bake in and even amplify existing biases in society.
Exactly, and that's why the consensus seems to be building around this idea of human-centric AI, technology that doesn't just boost our abilities, but is actually designed from the ground up to respect core human values, privacy, fairness, autonomy. It's really about making sure AI serves people, not the other way around. It's a complex balance, and honestly, one we'll be wrestling with for years, probably decades.
Okay, before we wrap up, let's maybe touch on some of the real-world hurdles. Despite all this amazing potential, making this transition to an AI-integrated society is, well, it's facing some big challenges. The reskilling bottleneck is a real thing. Our research suggests something like 39% of core worker skills will be disrupted by 2030. That's a huge chunk of the workforce needing to adapt. Employee fear, like we mentioned, is a big barrier. Some studies found maybe a third of employees would rather just ban AI from their workplace altogether. It's about trust and comfort, not just skills. Then there's this productivity puzzle. Just handing someone an AI tool doesn't automatically mean more output. Maybe it just means longer coffee breaks if workflows don't change.
Right.
True gains seem to come from totally rethinking how work gets done. And there's a risk, too. If training focuses too much on the specific AI tools we have today, we might create a brittle workforce, one that's not ready for tomorrow's AI, the next wave of innovation. It's a constantly moving target.
Yeah, it really is. And connecting all this back, figuring out how to build a truly future-proof society, it needs proactive, coordinated strategies from everyone. So for policymakers, keep building on that consensus to regulate high-risk AI, ensure safety and fairness, invest in strong social safety nets like those UBI pilots to cushion the bumps, and really push for human-centric AI development. For educational institutions, the big thing is prioritizing those durable foundational skills, adaptability, critical thinking, EQ over just teaching today's tools, forge smart, balance partnerships with tech firms, keeping the public interest front and center, and maybe launch that Manhattan Project for teacher development to really equip educators. For business leaders, you've got to lead this from the top, from the C-suite. It's a core strategy, not just IT. Reinvest those productivity gains back into your people reskilling, wage growth, share the benefits, and completely rethink your talent pipeline because those traditional entry points are shrinking. How do you bring people in and grow them now? And finally, for you, the individual listener, it really comes down to cultivating that mindset of continuous learning. Be a lifelong student of change. Proactively build those uniquely human skills that AI can't replicate. Become a smart AI collaborator, know its strengths, weaknesses, use it ethically, and, maybe most importantly, build and nurture your human networks. Those connections that support those insights, their value, is only going to increase in a more automated world. AI can't replace that.
This deep dive really makes it clear. AI isn't just another piece of tech. It's a fundamental restructuring of society that's happening right now. The choices we make, all of us, individuals, educators, leaders, policymakers, they will determine if this era of tech abundance leads to prosperity that's widely shared, new frontiers for humanity, or if it just makes existing divides deeper and creates new challenges for us all. And, if you're finding this conversation insightful, especially for our listeners on YouTube, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Tomorrow Unveiled, and definitely turn on notifications so you don't miss our next exploration of the future.
Absolutely. And if you're listening on a podcast service like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we'd be so grateful if you could leave Tomorrow Unveiled a rating and review. It honestly helps us reach more people trying to understand these big shifts.
Definitely. The goal of being future-proofed at the end of the day isn't about fighting change. It's about actively understanding it, shaping it, making sure these powerful advancements actually serve humanity. We love hearing what you think too. Whether you're on YouTube or your podcast app, drop a comment. Let us know your thoughts on AI shaping society. So the question to maybe chew on until our next deep dive and maybe talk about with your own network is this: how will you help shape this incredibly transformative future?